All right, welcome back to the Momentous Mind YouTube channel. It's Felix here. We're going to tie off the end of this rediscovery journey, but I also want to put a little note in this rediscovery journey. Rediscovery is a continual part of this process of breaking free from limiting narratives. So we have to constantly bring ourselves back to this state of rediscovering where we're at internally to see what we're manifesting externally. So in the last meditation that I did, in the last video I did, I talked a bit about these internal currents of narratives that are pulling us in the opposite direction of our desired outcome in our lives. So what are some of the things that we noticed in this meditation where we started to see these narratives that are pulling us away from a greater expression of abundance, or a greater expression of our creativity or partners or our life situations? What are we noticing that we're telling ourselves about our possibilities in achieving those things? Those are super key elements in seeing and then rediscovering outwardly what our life is manifesting or reflecting back towards us. So I remember a certain period in my life where I felt like I was at my lowest. I truly believed that I didn't deserve anything. I didn't deserve love. I didn't deserve wealth. I deserved to be a homeless rat piece of crap. And guess what? I was. For a period of time, I was homeless. For a period of time, I wasn't making very much money. My relationship failed. I didn't feel I was worthy of love after that. And at first, I wanted to point the finger outwardly and be like, I blame this person. I blame this circumstance. I blame everybody around me. It's all everybody else's fault. How dare they tell me I can only be this? And the more I go back and reflect on how I really manifested perfectly and exactly what I believed to be true, I started to see where I was telling myself and believing these certain negative narratives about myself. And not only was I telling myself these narratives, but I was consistently telling myself these narratives. And it wasn't until I really spent time in the jungle working with the Shipibo that I started to see all of these varying layers of these narratives and how they had really set into motion the trajectory for my life. Now, what started to break those narratives as I reflect back in my life from this homelessness and this aspect of not being good enough and having poor relationships was somebody who gave me words of encouragement, somebody who told me, actually, no, you're much more intelligent than you think you are. You're much more capable than you think you are. You can achieve your dreams. And it was the first moment of like getting a toe inside the door of new possibilities. And it wasn't until like months after that that I was like, okay, I'm going to work as hard as I can because I know how to work. And I'm going to make enough money so I can go down to Peru and I can start to learn these things that I really, really want to learn about. I want to learn about, shamanism. I want to learn about the mind. I want to learn how to heal myself and then help other people. And I was so determined in that endeavor that I continually made steps outwardly affirming this thing that I'm capable of doing it, affirming that I'm capable of being more wealthy in order to afford this trip. And it happened. Now, whether you just say that's you buckling down and actually putting your energy forward, well, it all started first and foremost with me starting to believe a different narrative. And thank goodness for this person who came into my life and said, no, you're actually capable of achieving something different, because that's what set into motion this possibility of me seeing a new way. The other thing I was really hoping to do, I was striving to achieve in my life, was to write a book. And I did. And I've written other books as well, which are taking a slow amount of time to get processed. And, it is a journey to write a book. But that happened as well. And it happened really when I believe that the information that I have gained, the wisdom that has been shared with me, was extremely valuable. So in this reflection of the inner world, we really need to start seeing where it is that we're telling ourselves who and what we are. What do I believe about myself that is overtly negative? Where do I think that I'm the biggest piece of crap ever and I'm never going to achieve anything? Is it when it comes to work? Is it when it comes to relationships? Is it when it comes to fitness? Or whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It's just we have to figure out where the root of this poison is coming into our world and filling it with negativity. In the Shipibo tradition, a huge portion of what the Shipibo talk about is netes. Netes are worlds. And one of our most important worlds is noko nete, is my world. What is going on in my world? What does the environment of my world look like? And how can I start to clean that and shape that towards new possibilities of being able to help others, of being able to share information? And in our netes, in our worlds, they can be filled and populated with a lot of negative ideas that are borrowed. And those borrowed ideas are debris island. Now, if you did that previous meditation and you started to notice all these narratives in the opposite direction of your success, how many of those narratives were actually yours? How often do we think something and we think it's our own thoughts, but how often is that thought borrowed? Now, if you don't believe that narratives rule the world, let me ask you this. Do you know of any narratives that haven't ruled the world? Tell me a time there wasn't a story about somebody or something or a situation or a disease or whatever it is that hadn't changed how people acted or how they behaved towards each other or how they believed they could achieve or where they could go. I mean, there are many, many, many examples where narratives control the overall actions of a group of people or even a person, an individual. So finding our personal narratives is starting to kind of time travel into our lives and see where we picked up these stories, these building blocks for who we are. And once we can see where the building blocks are, and once we can just step just slightly away from them, just to observe them, we're already in the process of completely changing our lives. Now, the next piece in all of this is ruthless clarity. Ruthless clarity in itself is a crucial element in this process of the Momentous Method. Ruthless clarity is a harder part. Sounds harsh, ruthless, but it's a harder aspect in this process of breaking free. Now, let me take it in a personal reflection, or let me give you a personal example of ruthless clarity. So I had this coworker that I worked with for a long period of time. They were really, really kind to me sometimes, and then other times this little shadowy aspect of this individual would arise. And, you know, in certain situations at the bar, I would notice that somehow they ended up with a little bit more money, and I didn't end up with that much money. And, you know, but I really liked the person because they could be nice on the outside, but then there was something that was just kind of right below the surface that I didn't feel was right. And ruthless clarity is looking at that relationship and being like, regardless of how this person presents itself to me, regardless of how this story presents itself to me, there is still something behind it that is creating a negative current. There's still something behind it that is negatively affecting me in my life. Another one is like addictions. Addictions are positive, negative narratives. Addictions are like, you know, I can take this cup of alcohol and for 10 minutes or an hour or whatever, I completely forget my problems. For sure, it works. People do it. People do it all the time. But those problems don't disappear. They don't vanish completely. And in fact, you may feel worse after you've had that cup of alcohol or 2 cups or 3 cups or however many cups you do. That is where we need to be ruthlessly clear. Like, is this genuinely helping my life, or is this starting to create a greater hindrance? And the problem is like, oftentimes we let things get so bad in our lives, we let certain people or circumstances get so bad in our lives that they become painful. And so painful that it's like we cannot do anything but pay attention to the pain. And that's where ruthless clarity comes in, and it starts to snip away and cut away at these relationships, at these things, these negative narratives that appear positive, but that we're giving a lot of excuses to. So ruthless clarity is looking at our relationships, is looking at our environments, is looking at our behaviors, and starting to be really clear with what is benefiting us, like truly benefiting us, and what is truly hindering us. So I'll give another personal example. I love scrolling through Instagram and I love watching reels, and there's a lot of funny reels and there's a lot of motivation reels and there's great talks by different people and they're enjoyable and it gives me something, right? But what I notice is 30 minutes later, I'm still scrolling through Instagram looking for the next video, the next motivation, the next dopamine hit, and I haven't accomplished anything throughout my day. So I have to stop myself. I have to be ruthlessly clear. Am I wasting my time or am I benefiting my time? So we're going to go more in depth into Ruthless Clarity in following videos. So make sure you stay tuned because Ruthless Clarity is more challenging. And this is going to be a process that can be like pulling teeth at sometimes. But ultimately, it's a positive thing that's going to help the body become more whole, become more clean. So Ruthless Clarity is us kind of stitching up the wounds. It's us kind of, cutting our toenails and cutting our fingernails and making sure that we wash our clothes. And it's the touch up that helps us bring reality into a greater focus. Clarity is essential on this path of opening one's mind, of unlocking one's mind into greater and greater possibilities. For me, I often tell my students clarity is my favorite drug. I love clarity, and I prefer clarity over all things because in clarity, I find that I can accomplish so much. So Ruthless Clarity is a bit harsher because I have to tell myself to put my phone down, or I have to tell myself to stop wasting my time doing a certain thing, and then I actually have to stop it. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe, like, follow, comment. Make sure to check out our Discord channel, which the link is right below. In the Discord channel, I'm building a community of incredible individuals all seeking to break free from limiting narratives, from their traps of their own prisons. And this is a community of like-minded people who are trying to build a new world outside of these narratives that other people have told us, outside of Debris Island. So also down below, there's a link to momentousmind.com. Check out the website and become momentous. Thanks again.